Disclaimer. We are two regular guys who love to talk Bone Thugs and Harmony. We do not represent Bone Thugs or any Bone affiliate. We are also not Bone Thugs experts. The views and information you hear in this podcast may be based on personal opinion. Please feel free to leave corrections and clarifying information in the comments. And enjoy. That brings us into Mo Thugs 3. We briefly spoke about this. I think some important things to note here in this situation is that 98 was the family reunion. 96 was the original. So we are now in the year 2000. We're following the every 2-year trend now. Important things are Thug Mentality 99 has come out, which is a huge, fucking massive moment in Bone Thugs. Busy Bones Heaven's movie was a huge moment. Thug Mentality was a fucking double disc. Art of War was a double disc. So, Heaven's movie was such a big deal. Crazy Bone ups the ante, releases Thug Mentality. A huge thing happened then, which was we were introduced to Thug Line. And we had no idea what Thug Line was. Again, kids, if you're not familiar with the era, if you're younger, if you're a newer Bone fan, the internet isn't what it is. So we have no idea what Thug Line is. We don't know if this means, is this Mo Thugs? Is this something new from Mo Thugs? So that dropped in 99. In 2000, it was actually June of 2000, we see Lazybone presents Mo Thugs 3, The Mothership. This was a altering moment. It was Mo Thugs Koch. So we're past, I believe we're past Mo Thugs having anything to do with like Ruthless, Relativity's over.
But what was the release date for Resurrection? Because that, I know that came out the same year as Mo Thug 3. And what was the release date on that?
Bone Thugs Resurrection, that was first quarter, February of 2000. February 29th, Bone Thugs and Harmony Resurrection. And it, what's interesting about Resurrection that we know is that Crazy was on the Thug Mentality tour. He cut Thug Mentality shit short to help with Resurrection. But Resurrection was already pretty much done. And we saw heavy Flesh and Bone influence, heavy Lazybone influence, a lot of Busy Bone return here. Not as much Crazy Bone, not as much Wishbone. So we saw that at the beginning of 2000. And no matter how people feel about it now, that was met with a lot of mixed feelings. Resurrection.
It contains some really good, unique beats.
Oh, I agree. It's a great album, but we're looking back on it now in 2018. When you think of at that time, February of 2000, Resurrection was met with a lot of mixed feelings by Bone fans. Oh, Bone Thug.
Even the video addressed a lot of that because people weren't. It must have been confusing for the fans because us being like connoisseurs of rap and all the intricacies of it, so we could see the Small Thugs and Harmony with Ruthless. There's Mo Thug, there's Seven Sign, and now there's Thug Line, which later on became The Life. It's a lot of stuff for the average person to juggle. In addition to like that period where Master P and No Limit then unleashed the gates of releasing albums like every single week.
Yeah.
So it became hard to wrap your mind around all that's going on. In addition, Mo Thug having a gazillion artists, not knowing who the heck is even in the group anymore. And on top of that, there's all the solo albums. Crazy Bone solo album, double CD, Busy Bone solo album. In the future, we're going to get the L Burner.
Right.
Flesh and Bone had his solo album. So it's like, all right, what is even going on? There's just so much going here. And now, Mo Thug 3 introduces an entirely new lineup to us.
Yeah, this cast is brand new. we have now very few returning artists. So we're now, 96 to 2000. So we're 4 years, okay? So we're freshmen to seniors in the time that the mothership drops. Completely a Lazybone situation. As we spoke about earlier, it does continue the imagery, but just like you said, it's something new. Even though this is an odd thing to bring up, we saw them work in the color green in a way that we haven't seen them work in the color green before. The futuristic look, it's that old English font, but it's kind of really polished and shiny. The pyramid is now a fucking a spaceship. And in terms of return, we see Lazybone return, obviously. We see Ken Dog as the only returning artist from fucking Volume 1, with the exception of the Bones.
Yep.
That's it. So that's it. Ken Dog is the last one from Volume 1. He made it all the way to the Volume 3. And then we see a bunch of, brand fucking new. I think the biggest thing that you talk about in this one is the Desperados, because we all had questions of, is Lazybone doing a new thing? Resurrection left us way up in the air. Resurrection didn't answer questions the way we hoped it would, and then immediately we have the Desperados, which, new guys, and then I think it was Lazy and Ken Dog was a Desperado, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, at least he was on that Did He Really Wanna?
I think he was considered like a member. And I hated the Desperados thing. I hated the Desperados thing even more because they didn't fucking do anything. There wasn't, I thought this was setting up for a Desperados, album. Obviously.
Right, yeah. I remember thinking that was coming. And I remember thinking, like, how is it so heavy on the, although it felt like it was more heavy on Desperados than it is looking back on it now. But I remember thinking, man, I wish Poetic Hustlers got this many tracks on the other albums. And it was just rough having a whole new cast to learn. Because, again, this period of time, there's just so much new stuff coming out that it was like, man, I don't know if I got time for this.
It's weird because, to my knowledge, Desperados included Lazybone. If you look at the picture of the Desperados inside of it, Ken Dog and Lazybone are with them. I also think like Black Hole of Watts or something was it. So I don't remember. This is fucking 18 years ago.
Does it feel like a dark time to you though? Because like anytime I think of this album, I think of a confusing time. Turn of the century. We're in the year 2000 now. We kind of felt like that Crazy Bone Thug Mentality double album was. I think we marked that one as the end of the era, and it's seeing Lazy without Crazy on Mo Thug really kind of just I was like, man, how is Crazy not part of this?
Yeah, it's funny. I bought this CD at Sam Goody, and I don't think I knew running up to it that there was, Crazy Bone wasn't going to be involved, even though we just had Thug Mentality, Thug Line, all that. We still saw Bone features on Thug Mentality 99. We just saw Resurrection. It wasn't until this album that you started to feel like there may be hiccups again, because it felt like that all just got worked out. We just saw Busy Bone, back with the group.
Right.
It felt like things should be worked out. Crazy Bone added a verse to change the fucking world and made one of, questionably one of the best Bone songs and best Crazy Bone features of all time. It's not on the fucking album. It felt like things maybe worked out. You get to this record, which is only 4 months later, and there's a lot of confused feelings here. Desperados, like I said, did he really wanna? When that dropped, it was like, what's happening? Is Lazybone looking to do something else? And I don't know if the question could ever be answered truly if he was. Obviously the thought of Lazybone making a new group today is like, that's preposterous. Like, get the fuck out of here. But, you know, you got to remember back then, while they had put out some classic albums, it wasn't out of the realm for him to leave Bone Thugs and make his own group.
Yeah.
Busy Bone had already left.
Yeah, and you know, now I've been thinking about this. I've been trying to figure out how this album did not play a big part in my rotation, or like why I slept on this one. And it's because by this period of time, and it's not like this now, but by this period of time, I pretty much decided in my mind that Crazy Bone's my favorite member and Busy Bone's my second favorite, even though they were both like neck and neck, right? But like, as not seeing Crazy on this Mo Thug 3, I was like, what's the point? What's the point of even trying this one out? I just got this double album of Crazy Bone. That's all I need. I got my fill of what I wanted. I got this Busy Bone solo album and of Heaven's Movie. It's like, I like the Mo Thug members more than I'd want to hear. And Lazy didn't even carry the whole album. That was the other part where I was like, all right, there was always at least one of the Bones kind of having an influence on the track. And this one, even Lazy wasn't carrying it. So I didn't see any reason. I don't even know if I heard this whole album, because at the time period, yeah, it was Eminem and DMX coming out at that time. So
for me, I remember feeling like I kind of have a fucking a Lazybone solo almost being pushed down my face. Because he to me he is on here a fuck of a lot.
Hold on, I know what it is now. It's that when I got this album, it felt like a rap album. And that's not why I buy Bone and Mo Thugs. I buy Bone and Mo Thugs for the harmonizing, the softer side, but primarily for the originality, how I never knew what they were going to come up with next. Like tracks like the original Mo Murder from Mo Thugs 1 or Ghetto Cowboy on Mo Thugs 2. This one just felt like a straight rap album. And it just confused my mind. I'm like, why would they do this? They've created their own lane, and now they're trying to make like a rap album. Now, granted, there are a few songs that kind of fit the whole Mo Thug mode, like the ones with Felicia. But in general, like overall, this album is heavy on the rap, which was the first time that kind of happened. And it felt like I had gone to a movie that I expected it to be an action film, and it turned out to be a romance comedy. And it's just not the reason why I check out Bone and Mo Thugs. Because it's like, if I wanted to buy a rap album, I'd buy it by rappers that specialize in straight rapping. I buy Bone and Mo Thugs for the experimental and everything else that they do. I wasn't really checking to hear them just straight rapping. I'd buy someone else if I wanted that. I wanted all that sets them apart from the rest that I had grown to know and love, and this one just, it felt like a straight rap to me.
We can jump right into the tracks because we've built up to it enough. You know, jumping into the tracks, I'll tell you that there's not a lot here I think carries over. That's not to say that I don't think it will, because I think Lazybone is probably going to be ultra heavy on this one. This is, without question, a disc that he has ownership over, an album he owns. I do think over these two discs we're going to see heavy influence from this disc, but it wouldn't be in mine. You know, who forgot about it? I forgot about it. I couldn't even fucking tell you. I can't even remember that song.
Oh, yeah.
The only reason I remember Seldom Seen, which is track 2, is because I thought it was odd that the group is Seldom Seen. The track had to be called Seldom Seen. And Too True did that on the first one, but it only had Too True in it. I thought it was so weird that Seldom Seen had a fucking song called Seldom Seen, and it featured, you know, Lazybone and someone else in it.
Yep. I don't.
Neither one of those make it on there to me.
Not me either, because I didn't have this album. Actually, I think I did, but I don't think I bought it. I think somebody gave it to me.
Last Laugh, I don't think makes it on there. I do believe that, and I can't remember who. Man, I can't remember his name, but there's a dude that's on Facebook that was involved with this album, and he's got a real issue with fucking Lazybone, and I guarantee You don't see any of the songs with that guy in it. I feel like he must have been one of the Immortal Thugs or some shit. So I don't think you'll see anything with him. I don't think Slaff will be on there. Let me tell you what's funny. You said you don't really know this one. Are you familiar with the Backyard song?
It's funny, when I saw the track title, I was like, wait a minute, I know this track title, but can't remember it.
It's the one that's got Lazybone Son, who's obviously a grown motherfucker now. I don't think he's rapping. He's very active on Facebook. He's very supportive of like Bloodline Harmony. He's a cool dude. I have him on Facebook. Jeremy House, cool motherfucker. But he's a young dude at this time, and I would probably guess that Lazybone wrote a lot of his shit. And it's just this very young voice talking about having the fucking AK-47.
Oh, I remember you used to tell me about this back in the day. like this bad parenting.
I was offended as fuck. I remember even, and I mean, this is 18 years ago. Now I'm 34. This is 18 years ago. And you know, it was weird. I was offended and intrigued at the same time because we had like, you know, we had some little motherfuckers out here. You know, we had the crisscrosses and I think Little Bow Wow and
the youngsters, Illegal.
Master P had the Little Soldiers, but all these dudes that did these young kid rappers, tapered them back, tailored them to other young kids, shit like that. Lazybone had his son come out with an AK-47, smoking weed, dropping the N-bomb.
If anything,
I have no idea if this track makes it, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it makes my disc.
It was unforgettable. Yeah, and I think you've been telling me about this one for about 18 years, and I think I'm gonna listen to this whole album probably this week because I think it may sound better now than it did back then. And I think the issue I had. Well, I'll get to that when we get to it on this track list here. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean this is a really, you know, this is really skimmable. I think possibly the Backyard makes it. I think possibly Gunline makes it. You know, Wannabe Ballers isn't making it. Ken Dogs, It Don't Stop isn't making it. I don't think You Don't Want None. Again, you know, it's Immortal Thugs, Freaky G, and Capone. And maybe Capone is the one. Maybe Capone. I think Capone is the one that has such a crazy issue with Lazybone. So I'm almost guaranteeing You Don't Want None doesn't make it. This Aint Livin'.
That
one's probably on.
Yeah. Not only is it on this, I think Lazybone's released this on every solo album he's released. I feel like This Aint Livin's been released at least 3 or 4 times. It's like Roller Coaster.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think it really makes it. So This Aint Livin' is probably a disc one. Did He Really Wanna? That if I remember correctly, that was the lead off.
Yeah, and you know, as I'm thinking on this album, I remember watching entire episodes of BET Rap City with my VCR because I wanted to record the music video for it. Because I thought this video was awesome with those dudes beating the cans, like they were like in the rain, and there was like these cans they were beating it, and then Lazybone came in and had like a super fast verse. This song was cool. When this came out, I was like, man, this is really cool. I can't wait to get the album. And then the album wasn't like this song, and I was like, "Oh man!" But as far as single, I waited hours. I had to watch like 5 episodes of Rap City before I got a chance to record it. And I finally got it.
I remember feeling like they went right from the fucking photo shoot to the video shoot. The photo shoot for the album to the video shoot. It felt like they were just the same. It was the same shit. So. Did He Really Wanna? That's making it. After that though, like, I don't think he's gonna heavily push the Desperados, and the reason why is I think it was a failed Lazybone thing. I think he thought the Desperados was going to be a big thing. It didn't get a lot of response. You can see from this disc the Desperados are featured fucking heavily. You know, and I don't think, like, when you look at it, Did He Really Wanna? Track 10. Total Chaos, track 11. Tighten Up Your Operation, track 12. Down From the Start is, out of all of those, it's the first time you see a break in it being the Desperados. Total Chaos doesn't make it. Tighten Up Your Operation, Down From the Start, Black Hole of Watts, they're very forgettable.
I'll say this, though. I did like the Black Hole of Watts song because it had that real West Coast vibe to it. And I've always been a West Coast fan. But, like, that one was... I don't know if these other guys are from the West Coast, but Black Hole of Watts, they had to... I mean, from their name, they're from the West, California. And it had that West Coast bounce to it and that West Coast flavor. It wasn't the best West Coast song I've ever heard, but it was a breath of fresh air. At least it had that vibe versus just the straight hardcore vibe.
To the players, Scampbone, hey, there's some possibility that this makes it because they're still down with Scant, still down with Felicia. There's some possibility that this gets on there.
Right.
I have no idea. I don't love the song like that. I don't know if you're familiar with it. If we're politicking again, they're still down with Scampbone. There's some possibility there. If I can go back, this is the original. A redone version ends up on Fifth Dog Let Loose, another Flesh and Bone solo. And I do believe this is the only time you see Flesh and Bone in this. And if I'm thinking about it correctly, he's in jail at this time, right?
No, because he's on Resurrection. But does he appear in the video? No, Flesh, we in the flesh, and he didn't appear in it. Yeah, so he must have been... Yeah, plus Fifth Dog Let Loose. That came out... I think that came out when I was a freshman in 97 or 98. So, yeah. Yeah, he must have been in jail.
But I don't... Yeah, I think he was in jail because Fifth Dog Let Loose was unreleased for a long time. Those songs were done, well in advance. And that came out October 10th of 2000. So this is the same year. This is the same year, but if you think about it, we saw a lot of Flesh and Bone on Resurrection, but he wasn't in the Change the World video. He wasn't in any of the videos, so he's got to be sitting in jail at this point. But if I can go back, made it onto his album, I'm gonna assume it at least makes it on here.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that one on yours, not mine, just because I can't vouch for it. I haven't heard it.
You didn't hear Fifth Dog?
I think I listened to that album like once, and again, like now I'd probably listen to the whole thing. But I was really tripping on Crazy and Busy back then, and everything for me was extremes. Like I was into just West Coast rap and Midwest and not East, and everything was like isolating. So I like Flesh a lot more now, but I think at the time I was just trying to hear Crazy and Busy. And I mean I had the album, but I just never listened to it. Because you know what it was? I didn't like it. It was when Flesh changed his voice. Flesh was one of my favorite rappers on Creeping on a Come Up and Eternal. But then when he kind of went to high pitched, he stopped being one of my favorites at that point.
It's an Eazy-E tribute, is why I would assume it's gonna make it.
Oh, okay.
It's an Eazy-E tribute. It made it onto his solo. There's 2 fucking versions of it. That's why I assume it makes it. We'll see, though. We'll see. I will say, with me adding that, I'm personally right now at my 30. So it starts to become cut time. And when we move into track 16, Everything Green, I think Everything Green is going to make it as well. It's a weed song. It's a Lazybone weed song. It's a pretty good one. It's not top 10. But as you listen to this album, I think it's one of the best songs on this album.
Okay. All right, I'll throw that on my list, possibly. It may get cut, though. We'll see.
Unleashed, I don't even remember, and it looks like it's just an Immortal Thugs song. And Immortal Thugs was another one of those things. I think they thought it, and by they, Lazybone, I think, that it was probably like Immortal Thugs was going to be the new Too True. Desperados was going to be like the new Bone, just in terms of the Mo Thug
Right.
world. And I just don't think any of this fucking shit.
I like the name. I like Immortal Thugs just like I liked MT5 just because it kept consistent with the whole imagery. But whatever.
Yeah. So that's what I think for that one. I think that, and again, I expect to be pretty wrong about this because this was the first one that he did himself.
Right.
We know he owns it. It's the Lazybone thing. I expect to be wrong and see more Volume 3, but really, I mean, I picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I picked 7 fucking songs from that. So that's not bad.
That's amazing. You picked 7 tracks from Mo Thug 3?
I picked 7 tracks. I picked This Aint Livin', Did He Really Wanna, Gunline, The Backyard. Oh, I got Gunline on here twice. 6 tracks.
It's funny.
Then I also
It's funny that you added all these from this, and then you were giving Poor Ken Dog and Poetic Hustlers and Graveyard Shift a hard time, and yet you're putting the Desperados on with no problem. That's cool. I mean, I think it's cute.
I'm telling you, the reason for that is Lazybone was in the fucking Desperados. He's not gonna push a bunch of Ken Dog on us before he pushes a bunch of Lazybone.
Yeah. Right. And you're doing a track list based on reality. I'm doing mine based on the fans.
Yeah, I'm not doing. It would be totally different if I was just picking this based on what I wanted to see versus what I think is gonna happen. So I'm kind of doing a mix of, I guess, what I like mixed in with what I assume we're gonna see, because I'm trying to drop track lists that are as close to what Lazybone may drop as possible.
Right. No, it's good that we have a slight contrast, so that there's a compare and contrasting to it. So,
all right, y'all. We just finished up Mo Thugs 3, The Mothership. Make sure you check out video number 4 for the wrap up. And don't forget, subscribe to Beyond the Harmony, like us on Facebook, and check out beyondtheharmony.com.